talk to so many people that say, oh, pastel's so hard. And I think that's because they had the wrong paper. Because pastel, when you have the right paper, it's like the easiest medium. So I'll share, I want to send around some papers there so you can see what they are. Because a lot of people, when I first started actually, I was working on rough watercolor paper. And I think people have used that, or there's other lightly textured papers that let all the pastel dust just fall right down onto the table. So these are amazing, and I've made a couple of marks on them, and you can see like how well they hold this color. So I'll send them around. There's a couple that are more the traditional, they're almost like sandpaper, and then the one I use is pastel matte. It feels a lot softer and it doesn't cut your finger like some of them do. So, but if you guys want to see what those are like, there's those. So. And I am going to, I work usually on the pastel board because I used the paper before, but it kind of curls up so in the frame. And I want to keep a little distance between my mat, when I frame it, keep a little distance between the mat and the artwork so that if any pastel falls off, it falls down into that little gutter. So with the curl, it just ends up not looking as nice. So I started working on board, and because of that, I work on the size I'm actually going to frame. So, so the way I usually do it is I tape on the back, and then I tape my tape to my board instead of taping off. Some people will mask off the front side, but since I've cut it already to frame size, I do it this way. So. So yeah, Lenore invited me to do this probably mid last year. I think it's been about a year since we first talked about it. And I was like, Lenore, I haven't actually done this. I've done art in front of people, but I haven't had to talk at the same time. Actually, so we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, you're on the TV too.
Yeah, right, and I'm on TV. So if I stop talking, feel free to ask questions, because if I get caught up, I'll try not to get caught up. I'll try to talk throughout. But let's see. So the piece that I'm going to work from is this, which is a shot from Santa Teresa Park. It's a place I like to mountain bike a lot. And this particular view, I've done a few different times at different times of the year, because it's just, the changes out there are amazing to see, like the changes over the seasons. So that's what I'm working with. And I don't know. Oh, we can actually get both of those on there. Okay. So,
yeah, I can zoom in more too.
Okay. So, crooked. So the thing with pastel, besides the paper, the next thing to know is you're working from not necessarily dark to light so much as like with some mediums, but hard to soft. So there's some really hard pastels, like the new pastel, and Rembrandts are pretty hard too. So I usually start out with those, and then I work into softer versions. So, but I first do an underpainting. So I'm going to start out with just kind of a sketch, and I'm going to turn that into my underpainting. So let's see. This might be a little more. There we go. Okay. I kind of like a high horizon, it seems like. Either very high or very low.
These are all chalk pastel, right?
So yeah. So they're all, people say chalk pastel, or also like the official term is soft pastel, and then the other is the other type of pastel is the oil pastel. So usually, my favorite color to do my underpainting is usually purple, or violet, which I have a really nice new pastel. Has this great violet that's nice and dark. But then sometimes, I don't know, I also feel like it's either red or violet usually for most things that I'm doing. So. So I've got this little wheel there. part that is distinctive that we usually see from the Bay Area is, or from San Jose area, is kind of in the clouds. You can't see it so well here. Oops, also, if I start mumbling, please tell me to raise my voice. I just realized.
Yeah, we have lots of hard of hearing people, so you have to speak up.
Feel free to let me know if you need something, if you need me to speak up or, okay. So, actually move this up a little bit, and then I have this other mountain shape, the foothill I have kind of right down here, and these trees are moving down. So I do a really rough underpainting. I know some people do it a much nicer underpainting, and I always end up covering up almost all of my underpainting, which I regret because sometimes I'm using these wonderful colors like red. But it's just by the time I realize I'm done, I've covered most of it up. So.
Can we ask questions?
Yes, please do.
How do you pick the colors to do the underpainting?
I just have my favorites. Some people do opposites, you know, like if they're doing a lot of green, they'll pick red. You know, I personally just love this purple, and I use it for almost every painting I do, just because I love it. But then I also kind of love this red. It gets it's more exciting sometimes. So, not very scientific, but let's see. So I recently, one of my friends that I ride with, she lives here in Los Altos, and she took me up to, not Rancho, but we went bike riding up at, what's the other?
Stevens
Isn't
Creek,
it?
San Antonio?
Not San Antonio. Shoot, no, it's up a little bit more north, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, it's off Page Mill.
Oh, Los Trancas?
Or Arrestadero?
Arrestadero, yes, yeah. So I hadn't really ridden up there, and it was really beautiful. I feel like going up there. I got my pastel set up, so technically I should be able to put it on my bike and ride up into the hills, but I'm kind of scared that my pastels will be, I mean, I've got them cushioned, but I haven't dared taking them out there yet. So,
Do you always work with chalk pastels and not oil pastels?
yes, yeah. I mean, in the past I've used oil pastels, but yeah, this is my medium that I really know better, and the one I love. I started using it because I like charcoal, and so when I was doing life drawing, I wanted to add color to my charcoal stuff, so I started just throwing pastel into it, and then I realized, oh my gosh, this stuff is wonderful, because it's drawing. For me, it's easier than painting. But it has the effect when you're done. It has the effect of a painting. So, how many people here use pastels? The soft pastels? Yeah.
Where do you get your pastel board?
I get it from Dakota Art, which is it's online, and it's also in Washington, I think. Like the physical location is in Washington. So after I got my color on, oops, I need a little color in these lighter areas. Yeah, it's Dakota, I wrote it down for you guys. DakotaPastels.com. And they have all kinds of great supplies. The pastel mat board that I use, when we had University Art Town in San Jose, they would usually have like 1 or 2 sheets maybe, but Dakota you can order like a whole, you can order 5. I ordered a big huge sheets and cut them down.
So the underpainting is like a sketch.
Yes. Okay. Some people do it a lot more meticulously than me. This technique actually I learned from Terry Ford, who is a local pastelist. She lives down in San Jose, and she paints all over the place. She does workshops in Paris and, well, in France, not Paris necessarily, but She's like really, she's published and won awards and all.
Is that the same color in your eye?
So this is, oh, sorry, let me tell you.
Is this-
I meant to tell you,
Is this water?
it's
No.
actually denatured alcohol only because it dries faster than water. I've used water in a pinch, but then you have to wait a long time.
So it's denatured alcohol.
It's denatured alcohol from the hardware store.
I see.
So, does not have fragrance?
So the purpose is just to
Oh,
blend.
it has a little
blend-
bit. Yeah, it does have a little bit. Is it bothering you? Can you?
Not yet.
Yeah, it's not like turpentine. It's more kind of like alcohol.
And what's the purpose?
It's to kind of set this pastel on there, so after we've done this pastel is not going anywhere. And that way I just have some color, so I'm not starting out with just this white sheet and having white poking through. When I have stuff poking through, it's gonna be this red and pink and more interesting stuff than white.
So it's almost like gesso with acrylic. Just have a base.
Right, if you do like just that kind of sketchy underpainting with acrylic and oil, right, some people do it with oil. But just to have, so it's not white, I don't want to see, because there's going to be stuff poking through. So, and this here, I put this in here, and it really won't matter in the end that I use that other color, because pastel is super forgiving. That's the thing I love about it, is that this is really not the shape of these mountains, but it's because I'm nervous in front of all you guys. So it's gonna be what it is.
Do you ever wear a mask when you do pastel?
You know, if I'm working in my studio, I often do, especially if I start to like brush stuff off, right? Or I'm cleaning up the studio, I put on a mask for sure. Yeah, technically I think you should wear a mask if you're indoors with your pastels, like if you're right over them. I usually stand up when I'm working, so I'm not like with my face right in them like usual, so I'm usually up a lot higher. But yeah, it is good to, I don't wear a mask if I'm working outdoors.
You don't wear gloves?
And I don't wear gloves, because I like to have my, I also don't blend a lot with my fingers. I hold the pastels, but I'm not like, I'm gonna like that.
Oh, I do.
Yeah. Do you wear gloves? Or?
I do if I blend with my fingers.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I get plenty on my fingers just from holding the pastels. So I usually do keep like a damp rag nearby. This is gonna take just a couple of minutes to dry up a little bit, and then I can work on it. So, let's see. So the paper is the key, going hard to soft. The pastels that I use, I started out here with New Pastel. I use Rembrandts that are very hard also, and then some of the softer ones are Sennelier and Terry Ludwig's, and these I get from Dakota Pastels because I don't know where you can get them locally. And then the super soft, wonderful ones that I don't usually get because they break also is Schminky, but they're super soft and like really wonderful. Let's see. So, let me see what else I was going to tell you while we were waiting for this. I can pass around some things I wanted to show you about framing if you do work with pastels, because if you do and you matte, you really need to leave, like I've got a little gutter. I'll pass this around so you guys can see, but there's a little gutter here where I put some a bit of plastic back here, or you can, sometimes people will put a foam core that's cut back a 1/4 inch. Or another mat, just to leave a little space so that when a little bit of pastel falls off, and with this paper a lot doesn't fall off, but if it does, like it gets right down there on the, like there's a little bit right there, gets on there and then it looks really bad, so that's why we leave a little gutter in there. So I'll pass that around if you guys want to see, and then, but just keep it more like either upright or in this position versus on its face, because that's how it's going to put the pastel into that. So,
There is glass over it then.
yes. Oh, yeah. So that's it's technically not museum glass. it's, I think they call it art glass, and it's less expensive than, museum glass is like $30 probably or more for a piece that big when I first was looking at it. But there's a guy in San Jose who sells it, or Campbell, who sells a piece like that for more like $12, or I think it's like $9 to $12 for a piece. But I think it's about $9 for a piece that size.
But you don't put the glass over the whole picture, you just do, you just do it over the painting?
So the glass
So
is
the
over
mat
the
is
mat.
over the glass.
The,
The mat is on top of the glass.
so here's the frame,
Yeah.
here's the mat and the glass. The glass starts here. It's good.
It's not a
It's
really wide
pretty
frame.
big glass,
But
okay.
this is, oh,
That's part
So,
of
yeah,
it.
here's
oh,
the
okay,
frame.
this is the frame,
The frame and
and
the
then the
glass
mat,
starts
and then,
here.
oh, okay, I see.
Yeah.
And that's what kind of glass? I'm sorry.
So it used to be you could get it only museum glass, but now they make other brands of it, and then it's less expensive and it's easier to work with. So the guy I buy this from, he calls it art glass. But if you ask for like the cheaper version of the museum glass, then framers I think would know that. The guy I go to in Campbell or San Jose is Signature Frames, and I buy ready-made frames and then he cuts my glass for me to keep my costs down. So the other thing with pastel is either you gotta keep it all in frames, or how are you gonna store it because it's smudgy. So I learned from Terry Ford that you can actually just put it in clear bags, and I was shocked because when I put it behind acrylic, instead of glass, I put it in a frame with acrylic. The acrylic, the static, like sucks the pastel off, right? And you get like a ghost image. So
Started.
yeah, the static, right? So I thought for sure that this would happen here, but it really doesn't. This has been in this bag for about a year, and it's got like just little bits where it's been handled, where it kind of gets a little stuck. But you can see it's kind of a very nice way. Before I was like storing everything on my walls, right? I was running out of space, so that's a good option if you're doing pastel. So, okay, so this is ready to go. So yeah, I like to use the denatured alcohol because it dries a lot faster. So now I'm going to bring in my favorite purple and do some of that down here in my shadowy areas.
You're looking at,
Do you want to ask me a question?
you're looking at a picture, right?
Yes, I'm looking at this picture over here.
We could,
Okay, so, is my
Oh,
arm is in
there.
the way of it.
oh, okay, now I see.
Okay. Maybe I can move that.
No, that's all right.
No.
We can see
Oh,
it.
that's
No,
not
it's okay.
worse. Okay, there we go.
I will close up your painting only.
Okay. So, oh yeah, then you can't see how my painting, where it doesn't look like the original. So you guys meet once a month here?
Yes.
Yes. Second Monday.
Ah. That's very nice.
How long does it normally take you to do a painting that size?
It depends, because I usually do it like the beginning of it fairly quickly, and then I come back and look at it and work on it some more, and then come back. Occasionally, I've done some in like, this size, maybe in 40 minutes, and then I'm done, and I'm like, whoa, I'm done, I don't have to do any more. But usually not. Usually I keep coming back in. Let's see. So I also wanted to tell you guys about a great resource online for pastel painting and for landscape painting in general. There's an artist named Deborah Secor who put a book online basically about, I'm looking for my green as we're talking, here we go. Her name is Deborah Secor, and she's got this blog book online called Landscape Painting in Pastel, and it is, when I stop for a second, I'll give you the actual web address. but it's a great resource, not just for pastel, but for painting. Like the things that I learned from her on that, or things that was reminded of, or she put in a different perspective, things like when you're doing your mountains in the background and you've got your distance, I'm looking for a blue. As things recede in the distance, you know, they get cooler and lighter. And she kind of like, just the way she described it was so helpful, just saying, you know, that everything gets a little bluer, and if you imagine like curtains, like a sheer curtain, as you're going back in the distance, right, that the thing farthest away is, you're looking at it through these many layers of sheer curtains. So it's lighter and it's a little cooler. So bluer and lighter in the background. So this is actually probably too dark, this one I'm using here, but let's see. Yeah, okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to pull this down, and then I'm going to lighten up that back layer of mountains. Because this is one, like a foothill right here, and then the back is another mountain in the background. So I'm going to lighten up that top part. And then I'm just going to bring a little bit of this in, so I have it in more than one place. Okay. Let's see. Now I've got some kind of reddish, grayish stuff happening back in the fields back here. Wow, this looks very red in my box, and then when I put it on top of that red, it looks very gray. This one's actually very, very soft also, but I'm not going to be putting a lot more color on top of that. But I don't want one that soft for the next bit, because I'm going to be doing some layers of colors. I'm just going to bring in.
So the soft chalk, it makes it thinner, a thinner layer? Is that the difference between the hard and the soft chalk?
Actually, the hard makes a thinner layer, and the soft makes it thick and kind of plugs up the paper more. So that's why you go more hard to soft, so that you can keep the tooth of the paper. Although with this paper, it's very rare that I've ever felt like I'm running out of tooth. Okay. So there you go.
How are you choosing the colors that you're putting in each layer?
So I'm choosing just colors that I like. This is kind of really still my beginning pieces, and by the time I'm done, people come in and they go, oh cool, I love all these colors, and then they'll go walk around like at open studios, or they'll go look at everybody else's stuff, and they'll come back and they go like, oh my god, it looks like a different painting. Because usually by the time I'm done, everything's a lot, not realistic, because I like everything brighter and bolder than realistic, but it does get toned down as I go. So these colors, I picked this blue because it's, you know, I wanted to have the color receding and getting cooler in the background. So I picked up blue for back there, but I'll start getting more realistic colors coming in here soon. I'm going to use some of my favorite purple in here, because it's very earthy kind of purple. Usually when I've got grasses, our grasses tend to be kind of golden unless it's springy around here, so I'll start with kind of an orangey base or like a darker gold kind of base, and then put lighter stuff on top. That one's too soft. I need to look for something more like my Rembrandts. There we go. because I don't want to put the kind of my undercolors on with the soft pastel, because then I won't be able to layer in as much color.
I didn't realize you could layer pastels so much.
Oh, yeah, I end up with a lot of different bits. I like to have little bits sticking out here and there of different color.
Do you do plein air, or do you try to stay away from gusty winds?
So I actually just did, I do a little bit of plein air, and I did the Las Gatas Plein Air Festival recently, which was a huge challenge. And I thought, you know, because I work as a social worker during the day, and art is my fun thing. So I thought, oh, this is just going to be like a vacation. But I was so exhausted from that event. By the end of the day, because I worked like from morning till late at night, and the end of the day I was like totally exhausted every night. But it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. But it's hard having your setup out there because of the wind, because of I'm not loving this color, it's too almost white. So I want something a little yellower. This is kind of greenish yellow. So yeah, this is kind of a greenish yellow, so I'm going to kind of put this one back further in the distance. And then when it comes, because all this grass, I have a bunch of the golden grass in here, so, but the grass up close to me, I want to have it more yellow or warmer color. So, but for this one, it's got a little bit of green in it. So I'm gonna. If I didn't know this spot as well, like I said, I've painted it multiple times, I'd probably pay more attention to it, but I kind of have it more in my mind. So if it was new to me, I'd be studying it a lot more closely and getting it probably more accurate. But because I know it, I think I don't do that as much. So this is kind of just giving me a little bit. I'm going to keep that out because I'm going to use it later for my further away grasses. Up close, this one looks a little warmer. It's also a little darker.
Do you ever use a fixative on your finished work?
So now that I have this paper, I don't use any fix unless I've just totally plugged it up. But even then, I'll probably just brush them off and then go back on. So I tend not to use fix because it changes the colors and it sucks up all the highlights. So when I used watercolor paper, I used many layers of fixative. So, but now I don't feel like I don't really need it. I mean, I can even put it in a clear bag and it stays on. So, okay, let's see. Oh, here's a nice warm. This is kind of pinkish for the grasses. I'm not going to do too much on the grasses yet, but I just want to kind of get started with. What am I looking at here? Here we go. So there's this area here where the ground is all rototilled, and it's a lot darker right in here. Got a lot of the purple in there, but it's really, I don't want to keep it that purple. I'm going to bring in some browns, reddish brown.
So you're going to the softer pastels now?
This is one of the softer ones, yeah. So yeah, I can start to do that because I've kind of got some color around. I'll kind of do a mix for now, and then at some point I won't be with using the hard ones, unless it's to kind of, sometimes I'll go in and make the grasses with the hard ones and kind of use that to knock off some of the color that's there. So, let's see. So here's my reddish, kind of reddish brown. And this one's actually harder. Oh, and much greener. Okay. So here's a beautiful thing. I don't like that at all. So I'm just gonna get rid of it. Okay. I'm gonna keep that. I like that reddish, even going back into the distance. I like it. I've got more of this bright red poking through up here, so maybe I'll leave that, and that can kind of be what warms up my front part. What are they doing next door? Oh wow!
It's a kid.
Boy Scouts.
They're doing great.
rehearsing for LAYC.
Boy Scouts.
Yes, for them, I don't think they.
No, what's got
Not like that.
Okay, let's see. Looking for something yellower and kind of soft and just a nice warm yellow. This one's, I think this is one of my seleniums. They're soft but not super soft. Actually, I'm not sure what I've done here in terms of my original. I'm going to make this area bigger. Because on my original it's bigger. The area with the rototilled dirt. Okay. And then it's also got a lot of grassy stuff in it, like hay. And this was a little too hard for that. These colors are not thrilling me. I'm trying to look for a color that shows up nicely in here as the hay. Let me try something a little darker. I'll call it hay. I don't know. It's the part where it's just been kind of the dry grasses rototilled in.
If you're so ecology and nature oriented, have you ever displayed at the Palo Alto Eco Center?
No, I haven't. Oh, I didn't know that was an option. I actually don't show much because I work full time. So I do open studios, and I've done a couple of, like I did that plein air thing. I tried to be in a couple of galleries, but they require that you make a lot of art, and I just didn't have time. So
The Ecology Center, I am hanging there right now, they have a 15-foot wall, which might be this distance of the wall behind you to the door. So depending on the size, you might be able to get 6 or 10 pictures
okay.
up there, and it is part of the city of Palo Alto. So you might look for ECO Center, and it's out on the Baylands,
Okay.
east of 101.
Okay. Thank you for that tip. I'll check it out. You're showing there right now? Yeah. How long do you show? Like before they change over?
I think it's a little more than 2 months.
Okay.
What are the requirements?
They like things that are nature and ecology oriented, and so I have up some landscapes and seascapes. But if you have a website or any other way that you can show them some of your work, that would work.
Okay. Yeah, I do have a website, I could do that. Thank you for that tip.
And there was no charge, and they actually did a little reception too.
Really?
Yeah.
So do they, is your stuff for sale there?
Yes, it
Yeah.
can be. You put a little card underneath, and you can put a price and a contact. And if somebody asks the people there, they will let you know.
Okay. So, and then do they, get any, like, do you share any of
I'm
your?
thinking they're asking 30%
Okay.
if something sells. So keep that in mind with your pricing.
Yeah. Somebody told me this. Well, I think when I was at Viewpoints for a little while, and they said you can't really lower your prices, right? Because then if somebody buys something from you and then they come later and they see that same size for sale for, you know, half the price or something. So I always try to keep my prices steady.
Yes.
And then if I sell from my studio, then that's awesome because I make more money on it. So, but, okay. So the one place where I do some blending usually, I don't usually blend on my landscape really at all, except I do blend in the sky. And I've lost my rag. Yes, do you see it? Oh, thank you. So, I do, sometimes, but not always, do some blending up in the sky. And because I've got this red poking through underneath, I'm gonna go ahead and. And here I started with a little bit warmer, kind of a greenish down towards the horizon, and then moving up to a cooler blue at the top. Where is that? I think that's my middle blue right there. I'm going to just go into the edge of the here, so. Okay. So, let's see. Let me start doing something more interesting with the tree. Okay. So I like this green. If I didn't, I would just pick it up and use a different green and cover up what I've got here. Oh, I'm not sure how much I like it. We'll see. Trying to not make it just end up looking like a big ball. Or having the same patterns over and over again in it, right? So, and that tree is a similar color to these other trees I've got going on back here. Usually in my studio I work standing up. And my board, this board, I just bought this thing and I love the idea of it, but it's a little floppy up here, so I kind of have to kind of hold on to it. When I'm working in the studio, I'm like bang, bang, bang with my, my pastel on the paper, so I have to be a lot gentler here, a lot more conscious. And there's some green, but I don't want it to be too much of this green. A little bit of that green, but I'm going to get a lighter green for some grass area of the meadow back here going on.
Thinking about your board swinging, you might consider putting a cord from where your left thumb is down
Oh, to hold on to it.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking about putting a strap around it but yeah, like sticking something right on here.
yeah, or to the inside, depending on,
Yeah. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna put in some more of a kind of a bluish. Just because that's more what it looks like in my photo, my reference. More blue. And then I gotta get some sky poking in here. I'm not really being very true to the, and it is coming out like a ball. I'm not being very true to the shape of this tree, which sometimes I am more so and sometimes less. Let me just bring some of this down so it looks a little less like a ball. And I just like to kind of spread my colors around so that they're not just all in one spot. So I'm going to add a little bit of these colors around in different spots. Okay, then I want to come back with a lighter, brighter green back here, and here's the green. And there's also nice yellow grass back there, but it's also a little greenish because it's far away. Maybe a little brighter than that. Not that bright though. Actually, okay, I like this. Actually, I think for some of it. Okay. Oops. So over here, I have these kind of shrubs on the hillside. So let me get those kind of locked in. And they're kind of silvery. What is this? This is one of the Terry Ludwig pastels. I really like these a lot because they don't break as easily as some of the other soft pastels. And they're really nice and soft. So,
What kind did you say?
Terry Ludwig. And these I get from Dakota. Things a little more interesting. I've got some orange in there. I'm going to throw in some purple. The thing I really love where we live is all these beautiful grasses out on the hills. So a lot of my paintings have a lot of grass with them because I just really love that. This is one of my harder pastels. So as I'm doing it, it's knocking off like the orange and the other color there underneath. Okay. Let's see. I tend to kind of work all over the painting instead of just in a spot, you know. This is okay. okay, but I want something, I don't know. I guess this is okay. I'll use some of this. I'm gonna add in some more of a yellower grass too, though. This is more of just that grassy area, and it's got actually a lot of kind of green in here on the edge of this grass. Not a lot, but some. A little bit of green in here. So this is one of the softer pastels. You can see it makes a fatter mark too. I guess I could probably make a thin mark of it if I was careful, but I tend to be a little heavy-handed, which my studio maid always comments on hearing all this noise. When I start getting into the detail, and especially when I'm standing up with my board, with my easel, that it gets kind of noisy.
It's really pretty.
Thank you. I think in this one I'm going to end up keeping some of this. I'm going to get rid of some of this really bright red, but a lot of the red is still going to be poking through since we only have so much time. I won't be like losing my whole underpainting. Let's see.
But you do keep some of the red showing in some, or do you like to cover
I
it all?
love to
You
have
like
it
little
showing,
pops
but
here and there?
yeah, I do. But I end up always when I'm done, I'm like, oh, I wish I had more of my, especially if I use the red, I wish I had more. But this is not okay to have it hanging out there like that. So those kind of things have to go.
It was.
Let's see. Okay, so I'm gonna do a little bit of work on the mountains back there. There's kind of some greenery growing on the mountains, but it's not actually green looking because it's off in the distance. It's kind of bluer looking. I don't know if that's going to show up with the other color I've chosen there. This is that's my purple that I love. I think it's a little too dark. So this is it's a lighter purple of the new pastels as well. Because on this mountain I really still have not used much soft pastels, so I can still really make that full stuff. And then I really don't like the big difference between these two mountains. I'm going to look for something that's kind of like between the sky blue and the purple maybe. Like between this purple and the sky blue. And something lighter. Lighter and bluer. In my photo, I have actually a lot of clouds happening up here, but I'm kind of ignoring those. And see, I like how you can, when you do all these layers, you can have little bits of the other colors poking through. You got to be careful though with these soft ones. Because if I pressed hard right now with this, it would just obliterate the other colors. So, and another thing I learned somewhere along the line is that when you're making your sky holes in the trees, it shouldn't be as bright as the sky is behind it, because then it like pokes out too much, so a little bit darker. So I think I'm using this, I think this is my middle blue that I used. I'm putting it down here behind, and I hope that that carries through. This is where I can maybe make it a little bit less round. Sure, I think this is the color I was using down here. Yeah, so I'm just going to the edges to soften up the edge between the tree and the sky. Blue, and I think I might not blend these together. I think I'm just going to keep these marks in the sky. So this blue and that green are not really working that well, so I'm going to bring this blue down a little bit to blend in. There. Now maybe the sky holes will pull out that color for the sky holes. Sorry, I'm mumbling. Sorry, I just realized. Okay. This is just too harsh right there. It's bothering me. Okay. So it's kind of crazy colored. I do want to tone it down a little. So I'm going to use more of the yellows, because there's a lot of grass going on in here. And the grasses all come together up here too, where I don't have that really happening, so I'm going to try to bring it all together. Okay. Come back. How are we doing time? Okay. I'm gonna come back in here with, I don't know what, it's green in my photo, but then the trees are green. It just seems like so much green, but unless I can find the right green. I'm thinking for this area down here. They have some green grass in there in the photo. Do you guys have any other questions?
What was that blog site you're gonna tell us?
Oh, yeah. So, Deborah Secor's, it's called landscapesinpastel.blogspot.com.
Landscapes in pastel?
Landscapes in Pastel. Yeah. Yeah, and I actually saw her when I was looking that up for you guys. I saw she has some YouTube videos also. Oh, also Marla Baguetta has some YouTube videos in pastel that she puts out, little 5-minute demo videos. But I saw Deborah, one that she did, where she talked about this tool. I have to go look it up. It's a color shaper, which I think people use it for paint. But she was using it on pastel, like to pick up color, and she was moving it around with it. I can't believe, I couldn't believe my eyes, so I'm gonna try it and see if it really, and she made it, it was amazing.
Sorry, what was her name?
Her name is Deborah Secourt.
The other one?
The other one is Marla Baguetta. I think it's,
Thank you.
yeah, Bageetta, I think.
So then what about Secor? Just like the
Deborah
sound?
Secor is Secor.
Oh.
Yeah.
Would you repeat the last one? Landscapes in pastels?
Landscapes in pastel,
In pastel.
no S, landscapesinpastel.blogspot.com. Yeah. Definitely put in the blogspot part, because I didn't put that the first time, and it came up with one of those things about, oh, you have a virus or whatever, so just trying to scare me into buying a product. So don't make that mistake.
There's Marla Baguetta.
Yeah. Marla, Bageetta. Oh, is that just, maybe that's just gonna stay kind of how it is in the background here. I'm not loving it. I don't know. I think back here this is just kind of a, I'm not really liking that. Maybe it's a little bit too bright. I don't have, in my photo I've got like, I can see little tree trunks, which I'm not gonna deal with right now.
It's good center of interest.
Oh, this here?
Yeah.
Oh, look, this is what you guys can see. Okay. Okay. Oh, when I look at it up there, now, I'm gonna do a little bit more here. It's like standing back from it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so here, I'm gonna break this up a little bit, because it's a little. So down here, we've got all this grass that's kind of been knocked down by hikers and bikers. And then along the edge here, there's just lots of grass going in different directions. Got more of these little, this is one of my favorite things, I love these little dots of the,
You do them so well.
it's just, they're so fun, and I love to see them. That's why when you're out there and they get backlit by the sun at sundown or in the morning, it's just one of my favorite things to see. So that's a little bit more over here. Just have something going on, and then yeah, okay.
How do you know when you're done?
I don't know. I would not be done with this if it weren't approaching 9 o'clock, because I feel like, well, so you guys did a little different view. I'll show you here. I'm going to show you the actual one because I think it looks a little different. So.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
Quite a difference.
it's a big difference.
Oh, the color's different.
Yeah. So.
It's stronger. That screen is kind of
It
kind
yeah,
of
it
new.
changes the color a little.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it cools it down a little.
Oh, yeah, it does. Okay. So. So, yeah, and I would continue to kind of, I don't know, like I say, I always like to leave some of that red poking through, but if I was still at my studio and I had all kinds of time, a lot of this red would disappear. Because some of it kind of bugs me while I'm working on it, and then I'm done and I'm like, oh, I wish it was back.
I like it. I like the
Yeah.
red poking through.
Yeah.
Once in a while, I have one that is like, I'll be done at this point and go, oh, I really like it with all that, but then I also just a lot of times can't stand it. So I'm gonna tone it down. Whoops. Okay.
Oh, now I know. When your hair is coming, the color changes lighter.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wait.
See?
Oh, yeah. Oh.
So to get the average light or something.
Okay. So yeah, I'm just gonna, oh, this is a nice color. Oh, I wish I'd been using more of this. I'm gonna use it. Yeah, that's a great color. And this is how my red goes away.
I'm gonna announce the contest winners.
Oh, perfect. Okay, good. Because I feel like I'm done.
Okay. There's a tie for first place. Lenora with her motto, which is the blue-green one, abstract. And Linda Williams with her birthday bouquet at the end there. And let's see, second place is Donna Kiefer, Father Time. And third place, Sandra Tingley. Is that how you say it? Love those flowers.
Well, anyway, they just joined today.
Yeah. Oh,
Yes,
really?
yeah. Mother and
Wow.
daughter, brand new.
They came in later. Yeah. But they took up those.
And we have one more new person that
Oh, yeah.
Carol. Yeah, Carol there. Hayward
Carol?
is a new member.
Okay, wave your hand. Carol Hayward. Okay.
Thank you. 3 new members.
Thank you for the demo.
Yes.
You're welcome.
That's
Thank you
great.
guys for inviting me.